What if astrology isn't about predicting your future, but understanding why certain phases of your life felt inevitable? Hi, I'm Summer, doctor of physical therapy and integrative wellness consultant. After years of navigating my own health journey and guiding others through theirs, I've learned one thing: access changes everything. This is where we bring together honest voices in wellness to help you maintain, refine, and elevate how you live. Today I'm here with Jaclyn Carmen, artist, astrologer, and Ahai healer based out of Miami, Florida. Tell everyone a little bit about yourself, who you are at your core, a little bit about your interests, and what makes you tick.
Hi everyone, I'm Jaclyn. So happy to be here. Like she said, I'm an artist, astrologer, and a high energy healer. I wasn't always in the creative and healing arts. I was in more of like a rigid, analytical corporate structure. So I kind of had to find my way through a bunch of different events in my life that led me here. But that said, I'm obsessed with all things energy. It's life-changing for me. It just made so much sense to me, and it clicked right away. So I could talk about anything along those lines.
Yeah, I love that. And I feel like so many people can probably relate to that story. So when you were younger, do you feel like your interests were similar to what you initially started doing, at least in your career?
Yeah, it's such a funny question because I feel like when you're younger, you actually know what you want to do, which is
Actually,
ironic.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when I was younger, I would always tell people, I want to be an artist and a fashion designer. That's what I would say. Mm-hmm. And from a young age, like I would say like age 5, and then it probably stopped once I was graduating high school. And then, you start to think of the real world and what you want to do. And when I was graduating was in 2008, and that's when we had the financial crisis. So that changed everything for me.
Of course. Yeah. I mean, similarly, I feel like same thing. It's like it was later in my career, kind of when I started my pivot, that I went back home for a little trip just to visit a friend, and I brought back a box of my childhood things. And when I was going through it, it was random items that, like things that I was re-engaging with in my adult life and like becoming interested in all over again, essentially. And so to me, it was a moment of like, I've always been interested in these things. Like this has always been who I am. I just kind of veered off path. And a lot of times it's because of some of that external pressure of, artist career. People tend to say like, it's really difficult to make a living as an artist. So a lot of people just don't try, right? And similarly with a lot of the interests that I had, it was the same thing. So I just kind of, I guess, veered away from it, And then what did you go to school for? This is one of my favorite questions to ask clients because I feel like more often than not, it's a mismatch in terms of what you went to school for and what you ended up starting to do in your career. So what did you go to school for and kind of where are you now?
Yeah, so I went to school for business. Mm-hmm. I majored in marketing.
Amazing.
I originally wanted to go to art school, but then when I started looking into it, the pricing of it, I had to pay for college myself. So it was kind of like a big reality check.
Oh, yeah.
And then I was looking on the other side of school, like, how much are you going to make? Because you're right, there was this narrative that artists don't make any money. And I'm like, oh, wow, this huge school bill.
Yeah.
With like a low salary, that's
or
not
your
going to
life's going to be really hard. It's going to be a struggle.
Exactly. So I wasn't necessarily encouraged to pursue my dreams per se.
Yeah.
So I went into what I knew made money, business. And my relative, my grandmother was big in marketing and she was very successful. So I saw her path and I was like, oh, well, I want that success. I want to live an abundant life. So I went down the business route, and I wouldn't say I have any regrets per se. I learned so much. It's almost like I had to go down that path to learn some things and then to pivot back to what I always wanted to do, be an artist and a fashion designer. So I did get to a point where in my career, probably a little over a decade in, I just got so burnt out. And I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I can make it till I'm 65.
Girl, same. Yeah, I've been there too.
Yeah. So I would literally be like, I don't know how people do this. Like it was like freaking, it was like I wouldn't say midlife crisis because it was like a quarter life crisis.
Yeah.
Like at the age of 25, you know, like it was crazy. So that's when the wheels started turning and cranking, and I just started kind of veering off the path that I thought was the right path for me, and the path that you know, they always encourage you to do. Go to school and get a great corporate job and get a 401k, and you know, and then in the middle there, find your life partner and then have kids. So I would say that was the moment, the inflection point for me.
Yeah, for sure. Similarly, I feel like, you know, I went through that with physical therapy too, where it was like I kind of climbed all the way up the ladder, and, you know, ultimately I was like, is this how I want to keep scaling my career for the rest of my life? And it wasn't, you know, and it was not fully, it was related to what I wanted to do in terms of helping people heal and, you know, learn how to heal themselves naturally. But I had some pivoting to do, you know, but it can be daunting when you go through that realization, but as we both know, also very beneficial. And I feel like I'm eternally grateful for the pivot, and I know you are too. So tell me a little bit about kind of what you help people with now in terms of the things that you do.
Yeah, so now it's kind of like I just share, it's more of like the path that I took.
Yeah.
And I help people reconnect back to themselves, because basically the short of it is I had to pretty much come back to myself through a series of, you know, once I was burned out, how do I get unburned out? And I know that sounds like, oh, you know, I've been really tired before. Like this was so burnt out that you can't wake up. Like like you're completely burnt. So I had to figure out how to get my body back to just square one again. And through all of that, you get a really profound sense of strength, a profound sense of self. And basically, I help people do that same thing. So I like to do it through a fun way. I'm an artist. I'm very creative. I'm obsessed with astrology. So astrology is something that I was always interested in. And then I started learning about it because I was in an analytical role. So everything was data for me. Even though my brain naturally likes to be on the other side of the brain, more creative. So I actually started off with astrology. I was like, if this is real or if there's something to it, I'll figure it out, because I'm good at like sifting through data and, you know, saying this is valid, this is not, et cetera, et cetera. And then it just started clicking, and I was like, wow, this just makes so much sense. So what is astrology? Because I had no idea. So all it is an energetic weather map.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, so I imagine back in the day when people didn't have the weather, like they had no idea what tomorrow would be, or if there's a hurricane coming, or, you know, a snowstorm, et cetera,
and there were astrologers in very high up positions back in the day, you know, in governments and royal families and whatever, because people valued that information too.
That's a great point.
They needed it.
Yes. Yes, the kings and queens, they all had astrologer. They had, you know, a whole staff. So I see it. And when we're born with an energetic imprint at the moment, literally down to the minute of when we're born. So we all have individual energies, and that's the astrology birth chart. So what I do with clients is I take a look at their birth chart. It's basically their birthday, birth time, location, and see, okay, these are different areas of your life on how you operate. So when I first learned my birth chart, it just helped me just feel unapologetically myself.
Yeah.
And I got to learn, like, that's right, I do like things that are really unique. Aquarius, Venus, or I do like to go fast, Aries, Moon, or I love working, you know, different things like that. And when I look at someone's birth chart, I help them understand themselves a little bit more. So that's probably the most that I do with others. At the same time, energy healing clears the energy field. I love educating people about energy and how it works and how powerful it is. And then art is just kind of self-explanatory. It's like it just can completely transform a space.
And it's an expression of energy too, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah, so I love that. Yeah, astrology has been really helpful and pivotal in my life too, in terms of even just guiding me through, you know, some even difficult or strange phases, in terms of giving me some clarity of like, oh, this is kind of what was supposed to be happening, and like this is kind of a thing for me to work through, right? So yeah, it can help give you that map and a little bit of guidance. And I feel like sometimes, since astrology and sun signs especially are all over Instagram, I think people can forget that when you do get your chart specifically looked at and read, like your chart is only specific to you because it is your birth date, time, and the location in which you were born, right? So nobody else has that exact time and date because you were the only baby there at that moment, right? So it really is pretty special. And then you mentioned the energy healing stuff, and I know you've always kind of been interested in astrology. When did you get started with the energy healing? Because I know, again, for me, I also feel like I had to go through kind of the intensity of the physical therapy world first before I learned some of the more subtle practices. But honestly, because of what I do physical therapy-wise is so intense, I just thought energy work at first was a bunch of BS. I thought there's no way that this can be effective in healing people.
Yeah.
Until I later, you know, tried it myself, which for me, it actually took my physical therapy clients sharing their stories with me about their energy work sessions that they had done elsewhere, telling me how pivotal it was for them. And at that point, that's when I started realizing, oh, maybe this is acceptable in the real world, in the external world, right?
Yeah.
Maybe I don't just have to have a scientific background. Maybe I can, you know, develop this out essentially. So I guess, what was your start with the energy work side of things?
Yeah, my start was just a need. Like I said, I got so burnt out. So I pretty much just started following my instincts, my intuition, and it led me to energy healing. And I had never heard of it before. And I had one session and it completely changed my life. And I was like, okay, this is so legit. It's crazy. And I was like, I've never once heard about energy healing. I was like, I've taken so many health, you know, seminars or wellness in like the corporate world. They always have someone come in and talk to you about health, or a health fair.
That me.
Or
yeah, like, me come in. Yeah. That's hilarious.
Exactly. And I was like, I've never once heard, I never even heard the words energy healing or energy work. And it's funny because Reiki has been on the planet since like the early 1900s. So it's not this is not a new concept. It's been around.
And it's endured throughout that entire time too. I think it's important to know. It's not something that was started back then and then entirely went away. It's stuck around and only kind of gained more relevance, right?
Yeah. So when I received the session, I completely just felt like restored and rejuvenated. I felt like so different. It's really hard to explain. I just felt so burnt out, and I literally just felt like someone had given me like the juice to like not be burned out anymore. And then I just went deeper and deeper into energy work, doing regular regimens. It completely healed I had a lot of grief, people passing away that were near and dear to me. It completely healed my grief, which sounds crazy because that's profound. It helped my body in significant ways, my mind. And I just decided one day, I was like, I need to become an energy healer. Like, this is so profound that I never thought I would. I was a business person in New York City.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be, you know, an energy healer. So it helped my body in significant ways, my mind. And I just decided one day, I was like, I need to become an energy healer. Like, this is so profound that I never thought I would. I was a business person in New York City.
Yeah.
I never thought I would be, you know, an energy healer. So,
actually, as a former business person in New York City that got involved in, we'll say, energetics, you mentioned you felt like the differences and the changes. So, I feel like sometimes people have difficulty understanding the tangibility of these things and the effects. So I guess, what kinds of like physical changes, maybe even in relation to how you associated with stress or whatever, your day-to-day obligations and stuff, like what kind of changes did you feel in your physical body, nervous system, whatever?
Yeah, honestly, huge. Sleeping was number one. Sleeping really great through the night, not waking up a million times and forcing, getting upset. I'm not falling back asleep. I had a lot of grief. I don't think I realized I always just walked around with a thin layer of grief. I didn't realize that. It completely removed that. So I would walk around just feeling light and like happy. And I'm like, whoa, this is so different. But you don't realize it because you're just walking around and carrying it, like the grief thing.
Yeah, it becomes your norm,
Yeah. For me, I know everybody's body is different. These are my experiences, but I always would be like this workout queen, like cardio, grind. And I never got to like the fitness level that I ever wanted. And with energy healing, it was just like effortless. I got to the fitness level I wanted and I was doing slower workouts like yoga and walks. Like it was stuff like that. Mental health, just feeling zero anxiety, super balanced, very grounded. I even noticed with myself, my family has a history of really high cholesterol, and my cholesterol went down significantly. I used to have to take medicine. I don't have to take medicine anymore.
Yeah.
Like it's really profound. And these are just my examples. So I'm sure there's like infinite possibilities.
Yeah, and I mean, people have a lot of similar examples, and it can be very profound. So that's, I'm glad that I asked, essentially. And then was there, when you were in corporate in kind of the old, we'll say, work situation, what did success look like to you or mean to you then versus now? I know you mentioned your grandmother and like you really kind of wanted to be like her in a way and be successful like her, but otherwise, like for your own personal goals, I know for me, when I went in through my career pivot, I had to really reshape how I viewed myself as being productive. Because, for example, as a physical therapist, at first your productivity is based on how many clients you see or help in a day, right? But then when I first started my business for myself, and at first I had no clients, it was in the start of COVID. I was working all day, every day. But again, if I don't have clients, then I go home and I feel like I have nothing to show for all of my efforts, right? So I really had to teach myself what a successful day looked like on the flip side of not having clients define my version of success, I guess. So I guess what would that look like for you?
Yeah, that's a great question because I would say looking back, my version of success was very distorted on what it is now. So my version of success then was very tangible, like having the really prestigious title, managing a team of people, having massive responsibility. I also thought having a lot of stress was like a measure of success, like a badge of honor.
Yeah, like I survived through it.
Right.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I'm better for it.
Yes, exactly. And, I also thought a measure of success was like, how much output could I do with like less sleep? Like it's like just like all this like toxic viewpoints that I had. And like I said, it was more tangible stuff. So it was like, okay, how much money was in my bank, or, with the title and of my career, my job, my career. And my measure of success now is there was a moment where all of that got completely wiped away and it was just me. And it was like, okay, so it was a big learning cycle for me. It was like, okay, Jaclyn, like, who are you now when you don't have the title? You don't have the team and the street cred of like, oh, wow, she's this position at this company. And I had to redefine all of that. And that was really, really heart opening for me. And it really helped me to learn who I really am. And that actually is what pivoted me into my career now, where it is more creative. My measure of success now is like, how much fun am I having?
Yeah. How fulfilled are you?
How fulfilled am I? How happy am I? And I know it's like easy to say these things when, you're safe and stable and secure. And there was a moment where I wasn't, but a lot of that was just a false, narrative that was just fed of like, I wouldn't be safe without a 401k or, what I mean? So my measure of success now is just exactly like I mentioned, and just every single day having as much fun as I possibly can. I don't wake up on a Monday anymore like with fear.
Yeah.
Crippling fear, or Sunday night.
And that's
Sunday
huge.
scaries.
Most people cannot say that, you
Yes.
know, and I similarly, so I also do feng shui consulting as part of my business. And in feng shui, there's a concept about push versus pull. And this is something that frequently comes up in energy sessions for people. And I try to remind myself of. But each day when we wake up, we're all so bogged down by obligations and all the things that we have to do, either to manage our home or for work or keep our family intact, right? But if we can start veering more towards the things we feel pulled towards out of curiosity, intrigue, interest, whatever, right? Almost magnetically, versus just the things we're pushed to do out of obligation, it really does change a lot in terms of how fulfilled we feel in each day. So if anything, I feel like that's a great baby step to start with. But similarly, you know, when I was in we'll say my former role at my career, and, you know, I had gotten promoted early and worked my way up, and I loved it. And at the time, I was craving stability, essentially, right? And I was like, I'm going to be at this company for the rest of my life. Like, I'm ride or die. I'm never going to leave. But again, you know, my pivotal turning point, now I'm at a point where I crave change because I feel like internally I feel more stable in who I am, right? Those external titles and stuff, they don't really matter. Of course, they matter in terms of visibility because I want to be able to help people, but they don't matter in terms of me valuing my day anymore or how successful I am in that regard, right? So it's just, it's huge change, right?
Yes,
huge
definitely.
change.
Definitely.
Yeah, and then I don't want to, you know, knock on corporate or that type of working environment entirely. So what types of things do you feel like you've carried with you even from that type of setting, even with the energy work stuff today? Because I feel like sometimes people think energy workers, we're so subjective, we're so woo, right? Yet like my Reiki sessions, I can't help but type out a full report for people because I still have my objective side to me, right? So, and I know you as well, coming from a more corporate sense. So what kind of like, I guess, structure or things did you find valuable that you still carry with you today?
Yeah, I would say literally the word structure. So just like being able to aggregate everything and communicate it clearly, and definitely my communication style, it's very direct. It's very, you know, to the point. In the business world, that was how we had to speak. They're like, don't give me the details, give me the bottom line.
Yeah, nobody has time for that.
Yeah, so I love to just like serve it up and help people in a direct way. Like, I'm not trying to drag them through the mud. I'm not trying to be confusing.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to help them in the most efficient way. I have like a grounded approach and a grounded thought process. So some like concepts that are very ambiguous, I can almost like translate that into the day-to-day of like, okay, this is great and all, like, you know, Saturn entering Aries, you know, at 0 degrees with, you know, Neptune at Aries 0 degrees. What does that mean?
Yeah.
You know, what does that mean for me?
Most people are like, okay, great.
So it's like I translate what's untranslatable,
Yeah.
so it's relatable to the person and just like what the hell is going on. Because
that.
I think a lot of times for me, I would always like throw up my hands and I'd be like, what is actually going on?
Does anybody too abstract sometimes?
Yeah, does anybody know? And now I'm the one that raises my hand and like, this is my perspective. This is what I think is going on.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So that leads me into some of our more fun topics, and I would love to know, what are some of like the common themes or commonalities that you see with your clients in terms of, I know you briefly explained something about my moon sign to me, for example. So what are some of those common themes that you think are helpful for people to know?
Yeah, so I do 2 types of sessions. I do astrology and energy healing, and then I also combine energy healing with astrology. So astrology is looking at the birth chart, so moon sign, sun sign, rising sign. And then an energy healing session is really just person sitting back, connecting with themselves through meditation, I comb through their energy field and kind of tell them where there's some kinks in the hose and what, just basically to help them out.
Right.
So just wanted to clarify on that. As far as an astrology session, some commonalities with clients is I really just see it across the board as people just wanting to know more about their natural energetic template.
Okay.
Because like me, I went down a path that got completely distorted. So like if you were to look at my birth chart as an astrologer, you would say completely obvious that you'd be like, you are meant to be an artist. You
Yeah.
are wired to be an artist. You are designed to be an artist. Being an artist would be easy for you based on your template.
Right.
So then if you saw me in like a corporate analytical role, you'd be like, you're probably, based on your artist wiring, you're probably having a little bit of a challenge doing the analytical stuff. Like it's just like a little extra work for you.
Yes.
So basically, I help show people of like, hey, you're just like that example. Hey, you're wired as an artist. What do you do for work? And they're like, oh, well, you know, I'm in an analytical role. I'd be like, interesting. So where
how's that going for? Yes.
Right. Like, where do you get your, where do you do the creative stuff?
Yeah,
So if that were me answering, I'd be like, well, I do the creative stuff by building Excel spreadsheets and like using really cool formulas and like making it look cool. That's where
like
I was
there's
getting.
still ways to build in the creativity in an analytical role, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And then
I love that.
And then I would suggest stuff like, okay, based on your moon sign, Leo moon. Leo
And
is
first, what is the moon sign about, really quickly? Because I feel like so many people only look at the rising sign.
yes, great, great question. I'll go through that too. So the moon sign is who you are on the inside. Moon is, let's think of it like literally, like you're at night sleeping. It's like internal. It's not like shining outwardly. The sun sign is how you shine. So, you know, when it's daylight and the sun's out, you're out and about bopping around. Moon sign is inward. It's who you are behind the scenes. And then rising sign, which is also known as the ascendant, is who you come off, like a first impression. What's like the energy that you come off as. So the moon sign, I would say, this is my opinion, is the most important sign of the entire chart because you have Mars, Venus, moon, sun, rising. You have a bunch of different things. So the moon sign is also how you feel balanced. And if you feel balanced, you feel safe, you feel grounded, you can be yourself. So for me, my moon sign, in order to feel safe, was to be, you know, because like I said, in 2008, the financial crisis, I didn't feel safe. So I wasn't feeling safe to do art. So I felt safe to do business. Well, I looked at my moon sign, it reflected that.
Yeah.
So it made sense. So some people are living out of their moon sign, but their whole rest of their chart is meant to be an artist, but their moon sign's controlling everything.
I see. Yeah.
So like someone who has let's go into an example.
I'm a Leo moon.
Leo moon.
Yeah.
Perfect. So a Leo moon is very creative. So someone who has a Leo moon, I would suggest, even if like they're in a non-creative career path, that's fine. I'm not saying it's bad, but I'm saying this person needs to have a creative outlet or some sort of performative, like dance or Leo is like a fun energy. It's like a light energy. It's the sun. They shine. They're courageous, like some sort of activity that aligns with that. So usually I see a lot of people in the public eye are Leos because they just love being in the spotlight. Like they love taking pictures and they love, you know, modeling or stuff like that. So I would say, okay, Leo moon, what is your creative outlet?
Well, so prior to my career shift, it's so funny. I literally, to my bosses, I used to say on the regular, I don't have a creative bone in my body because at the time I was living more in survival mode and, you know, kind of living based on the expectation and obligation versus based on what lit me up essentially, right? So yeah, it's so funny looking back because I thought I had zero creativity, but again, like growing up, I played piano, I played lots of instruments, I loved arts and crafts type things. Like I'm very creative, and especially now in my career, I'm very creative. But yeah, I really had to like get back in touch with myself essentially and learn that it's okay to be creative as an adult. It doesn't mean you're being a child or you're immature, right? You're just using your creativity, essentially. But it's so bizarre. It was funny, though.
Yeah, so like if you were in a session and I said that to you, you'd be like, I knew it. I knew dance was important or playing piano was important.
Yeah,
it is.
And it similarly, like I said, when I went to St. Louis and picked up that box of my childhood stuff, I was like, I knew I always liked these things. You know, it was so validating, and it just like, I feel like it gave me more so of the courage to reintroduce it into my life, I guess, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just such interesting stuff and really helpful information, I think, for people to understand about themselves, right?
Yeah, because the bottom line is a lot of these things, and I used to think this way, this is why I'm saying it. I used to think a lot of these things are just like so silly and so nominal. But if you are doing like one little thing every day or every week, whatever you can get in that feels good, guess what? That's going to ripple out in your life. And when you're feeling good, good things are going to happen. You're going to have the courage to, you know, ask for that promotion. And they're going to be like, yes, you deserve it. Or, you know, if in your family you're just feeling good, that ripples out to your children and then they're feeling good. Like it just continues on. So it's like these little things really add up to the big thing.
They do. And they have real life tangible effects, right? Essentially. Tell me a little bit about kind of what you feel about where the energies are going currently. Because I know we're kind of we're at the end of a year and about to start a new lunar new year. And obviously we just closed out 2025. So let me know if you sense anything about what's going on currently.
Yeah, so we are in a huge pivotal moment on the timeline of Earth. So just astrology is mathematical. Like it's all data, which I do love. So right now we are starting brand new cycles. So what that means is like we also are closing cycles that have been going on. So we just closed a 3-year cycle with Saturn, March 2023 to February 2026. So whatever went on during that 3-year period was a lesson, most likely a lesson.
Okay.
We just closed out a Neptune cycle, which was like 14 years. Pluto is in a new cycle. We are completely moving into new energy. So what does that mean? That means that new things will be introduced, new people, places, things. There might be like, oh, wow, I didn't think that would happen. Mm-hmm. It's like, okay, yeah, because it's a new energy. It's not something that you've had previously. Because as humans, we look to the past to predict the future, you know. Right. And that's normal, but all of this new energy is coming in. So a lot of the new energies, just to get specific, are it's a lot around like speaking your needs and not really going with the flow anymore. And I think that is actually really, really liberating because I don't know how many times I just went with the flow and I'm like, it's just easier to go with the flow and do it. Yeah. It's actually now the way the energy is coming in, it's actually not going to be easier to go with the flow. It's actually going to be easier to speak your needs, which is great.
Yeah.
So there's like the wind in our sails finally, instead of like the headwind.
Yes.
So that will be a big shift for everybody in totality. That said, that energy can feel really liberating for some, and it can also feel really ungrounding in a way, because it's like, oh, someone who always went with the flow, and then let's say you speak your needs and you're like, hey, I know we've done this for many years, but I don't want to do it this way anymore. Yeah. That person receiving it might feel really uncomfortable, or you might feel really uncomfortable speaking it because it's a new muscle. Yeah. You know, so there could be friction naturally with this type of shift. So it's just kind of like getting through it. And just being open to change. I know the body, the mind, just human nature, we actually don't like change because it's not predictable. Yes. Even if it's good change, like we just don't like it.
And a lot of people spend their whole lives avoiding it as much as they possibly can, right?
Yes, exactly. So I would say the biggest piece of advice is just being really open to change and not going with the flow anymore if you don't want to do it, because the energy is quite literally going to push you into what you actually want to do.
Yeah.
And it's just like speaking up for yourself and just doing it, like just doing what you want.
Yeah.
So I would say
love
it's a big thing.
I feel like I've been sensing some of that as well. Even in terms of, with my recent move and, just kind of shifting my business, like I mentioned, I feel like we're shifting into a time where people are going to kind of realize all of the ways in which they can help themselves again. And they don't have to rely as much on the systems or the structure, right?
Yes.
It's and it gives you back a sense of freedom, a sense of, ability to just live your life as you wish and having the time to do so, if you're willing to put in the time and effort in terms of really tuning into yourself and tending to yourself, if you will, and just making sure you're balanced throughout, which is so nice.
Yeah, and something I want to say to that is one of the biggest messages and the specific transit is Saturn in Aries and Neptune in Aries. One of the biggest messages is it's time to get serious about self-care. And I know that sounds ridiculous. Like, what do you mean get serious about, self-care practices? But the era of over-hustling, overworking, self-sacrificing is over. Like, based on
thank
the energy.
Goodness.
And yes, it is a thank goodness.
Yeah.
So what does self-care mean? It means taking 5 minutes to connect with your breath. It means journaling and getting your thoughts out if you're feeling really tense or just in general.
Yeah.
It's
grounding your energy.
Your energy. It's having the awareness of, hey, mentally, I'm not feeling great, so I'm not going to go to this party and ruin everybody's mood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or maybe this isn't even something I actually want to go to, so I'm going to take a moment for myself and, instead, right?
Yes.
That's a really good, clear boundary with yourself that you're now taking care of yourself, right?
Yes, it is taking care of yourself, and everybody's different, and it could mean taking a walk. It could mean advocating to yourself, to your boss, and saying, I need to leave at this time every day to be with my children for dinner, or whatever it is. Self-care looks different for everybody, so that's just my biggest PSA.
I love that. Okay, lastly, I love asking this question. Give me 2 overrated things that you feel like are out there in the wellness industry, and then 1 underrated thing.
Yes. So I'm a big workout girl, always have been. I kind of mentioned it actually a little bit. I would say cardio, in my opinion, is completely overrated. I got to like the weight I always wanted in the physique I always wanted by doing walks and yoga. Like, I barely do any cardio. I was doing cardio like 5 days a week, crazy. So cardio. And I would also say getting 10,000 steps a day is completely overrated.
That's been debunked, I think I saw recently too, where there's a new recommendation.
Okay, good. Because I get like half of that. And again, I'm like very healthy. I'm at like my healthiest I've ever been. And it just added more stress.
Yeah.
And then I would say the underrated thing is kind of what I already talked about. Actually, I have 2 of them. Is energy work.
Of course.
Incredible. I could talk for hours about it. If anyone wants to, hit me up. And jaw massage.
Yes, I love that.
It just completely unlocks the jaw, and you just feel this like energy just like melt off, and you feel weight lift off your shoulders.
Yes, I am a big proponent of jaw massage and jaw release. I actually do that with my clients and teach them how to do it as well, on top of facial lymphatic drainage, facial reflexology. But yeah, there's so many effects you can have, even with massaging your jaw muscles and then lymphatics, in terms of getting the lymphatics moving. That alone can preserve and maintain your long-term cognitive health, like preventing Alzheimer's and those types of degenerative things even. So there's so many benefits to these very simple little things. So 100% that is way underrated.
I love that you do that. Incredible.
Yes, it's so helpful. And again, people can do it themselves at home. So again, freedom. You don't need to just endlessly go into appointments. But yeah.
I love
Lovely.
it.
And then tell us a little bit about where people can find you.
Yes, so I'm on social media, Instagram, TikTok. My handle is Jaclyn_Carmen, and then my website is jaclyncarmen.com. Jaclyn is spelled Jaclyn, and then Carmen Carmen. And yeah, that's where you can find me.
Lovely. Well, thank you so much. I had so much fun chatting with you today, and until next time.
Thank you so much.
Lovely. If something in today's conversation gave you clarity, perspective, or direction, take what resonates and apply what works. Knowledge is power, and now you have more of it. Until next time.